just watching Volcano. You know, Tommy Lee Jones. The police would probably arrest the fire service in this country for not fighting the fire properly, wouldn't they? Right, speaking of police, corrupt bastards that they are, Kent Police Roads will refuse to answer the question as to why they hold secret court cases for people who quite rightfully refuse to fill in forms, because to fill in a form and sign it, and by the way, by signing it, you give them permission to take money off you to their financial detriment, is unlawful. So I say they won't answer the question. They've been tweeted a number of times, but they refuse to reply because they're all Nazis, basically. And that brings me nicely on to CPC. Driver Certificate Professional Competence. Yes, if you've been driving a truck for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, suddenly, unless you turn up for a course 5 times in 5 years and pay a wad of cash, a course for which there's no final test, and basically just sit in a classroom all day for no reason, losing money, you're now not qualified to drive a truck. That's the government's thinking on that one. So I emailed them. As regards the above subject then, I do hope you realise you're enforcing blackmail. By its own legislation, CPC states if drivers do not complete it, then they can still drive but cannot do for grace or favour. In other words, cash, basically, being paid. I'll explain in as smaller words as I can. You see, to charge someone to go to work is unlawful. That the government seems to have picked up on this as a revenue raiser, which, let's face it, is all they're interested in, matters not. A law must be just and fair and must not remove financial income from someone under threat unless there has been a court case in which the person has been found guilty of an actual crime. Now, every judge, copper, council employee and MP, if I'm honest, which I've come across, is either a liar or a thief, so I won't get into judicial procedure, as I promise to stick to simple words. The point being, I hear you are now threatening people with automatic loss of licence if they're stopped and do not have CPC, which is, of course, then completed under threat or loss of licence. Prior to this, of course, there were similar threats, including court action, which was also unlawful, but then I'm guessing you don't care about due process of law. Well, you cannot, can you, behaving in the way you are. So will you please answer not only why you're actively blackmailing drivers, but why you're indulging in threatening behaviour, theft, in some cases presumably depriving a lawful man or woman of earning a living, and dare I say it, running nothing less than a protection racket, in order to finance unlawful legislation while knowing, or being ought to know, that you are behaving unlawfully. Any answer which I deem unsatisfactory, or which comes by way of standard patronising quotation of legislation, or generally showing what pompous, duplicitous, patronising twits you are, or indeed no answer at all, will result in this email and replies or lack thereof being broadcast on the Paul Dacres channel on YouTube as your admission of guilt. And of course the only satisfactory answer is that you are both enforcing unlawful legislation and thereby breaking the law yourself. I gave them a month. Remarkably, they did get back to me. 20th, yesterday, Friday. Thank you for your email of 6th December about driver certificate of professional competence. Driver CPC was introduced as a result of a European directive on the initial qualification and period training of certain road vehicles for the carriageway or goods of passengers, which was transposed into UK legislation by the Vehicle Driver Certificate Professional Competence Regulations 2017. I could go on, but they've basically just quoted me legislation. So, yeah, that's to the Transport Commissioner. I have been tweeting DVSA, who are the ones that actually stop you on Twitter, and they won't answer the question either. So, guilty as fucking sin. Basically. Anyway, there were to be 3 videos today, it's now gone down to 2, but do keep an eye on my Twitter account at PaulDacres1 as of tomorrow night-ish. There'll be some interesting tweets going up. I'll see you later on.